Welcome back to the College Football UK podcast, brought to you by the AAW Network. I am your host, Fletch, and as always, I am joined by my wonderful, wonderful co-hosts, Gary and Sam. Gents, how are we this week?
All good, all good.
Doing all right. Doing all right. Enjoy it to talk about this type of football rather than the other round type of football, which you guys are more interested in right now because yesterday was horrible.
Yeah.
Mm.
Um, for those of you blissfully unaware, because you don't follow me on socials, by the way, I got gifted by my brother an extra television today, so I now have a PC screen and a separate screen for sports while this is on. Manchester City are on right now. To be fair, you've only got 2 more minutes of me doing this looking away type stuff. But this is a dangerous precedent to set to have a television right in front of my face where I can watch other sports while this is going on. Um,
Becky
one
will
week
sort it out
ago,
when she gets back. It'll be fine.
it's fine. No, she won't. 1 week ago today, the day of recording, kickers were taking part in on-field drills at in Indianapolis at the NFL Combine. On Monday, the last group went home. Today, we are going to take a look back at the week at Lucas Oil Stadium, what the Combine is, and who caught our eye at the annual showcase of college talent in front of NFL eyes. Before we get into it, though, don't forget you can follow us in the AEW Network on social media and join our free to join Discord server. You can find all the relevant links and information in the description of this episode. If you're on YouTube, they are right below our beautiful faces. And if you are listening on Spotify or Apple, they are inside the app that you are listening on. Okay. We have Nick's news. There is no Nick. Does anybody have any news? Can we go to Gary's Gazette?
I don't think there's much today. No, a couple of ex-players have joined some staff here, there, and everywhere. There's a retrial date. Um, Not much. Oh, hang on. There is that Akron
Um,
Zips. I'm going to mention the Akron Zips. They have received a waiver from the NCAA to allow it to be eligible for playing in the postseason next year. They were ineligible, obviously, last year because of having pretty shocking academic rate. However, they have managed to up that, and they have requested that they are now eligible to play in the postseason.
good.
Okay. Okay. Sam, is there anything in Sam's supplement this week?
All I've got is the ex-Packers special teams coach, Bisaccia, has been added to the Clemson staff, so he's the special teams coordinator over there. Obviously, there's the mention of that. The murder trial has been refixed, or has been given a date set. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that I saw was that South Carolina's offensive line, left tackle Josiah Thompson, is likely to miss the 2026 season with a lower body injury. He is due to undergo surgery and is essentially set to miss the season, which, you know, not obviously not great for him. There's also Jason Witten, the
Dallas
oh,
Cowboys, whatever he was.
yeah, the
Mm-hmm.
he's his son, sorry, Cooper Witten, has been committed or has committed for the 2027 season, currently to Oklahoma, which obviously, if you know anything about Jason Witten, big Texas boy. Um, so he actually chose the Sooners over Georgia, Tennessee, and Texas A&M.
Mm.
So, you know, interesting one there. And then the final bit of news that I had, if it'll load,
Colorado.
was the no, it was the Colorado assistant Warren Sapp has resigned, and Chris Marv has been promoted to defensive coordinator.
Yeah, equipment managers all up and down the league are happy about that because Sapp was renowned for wandering around in pre-games and kicking all the pylons over. Um, but so all the equipment managers will be happy. On the Colorado side of things, while he's too busy looking at the football, obviously, uh, because it's college football UK, we always have to have a little bit of bad news mixed in. Colorado players have been mourning the loss of Dominique Ponder, 23-year
Yes.
old, died on a single car crash on Sunday morning. Thoughts and prayers are obviously to his family. Sad times. Only 23. Apparently lost control of his
Yeah.
car, hit a guardrail. Not a good combination of things. So
No.
all of our thoughts are with the team at Colorado. Again, unfortunate. This seems to be a running theme when we talk about news that there's always something like this. So apologies to end the news again on a bad note, but
But it's
Oh
not the
well,
end of the
I've got
news.
one. I've got one bit of news that we can finish on that's not that,
good.
and that
Go
is
on.
that Mitch Barnhart is retiring as Kentucky AD for new role at the school. He is currently the longest serving athletic director in the Southeastern Conference and will retire in June and take a new role with Kentucky, um, which hasn't actually been revealed, but he's going to
Mm-hmm.
be in a new role.
There we go.
Yeah. Um, I do actually, believe it or not, also have my own one piece of news this week. Obviously that was already in the sheet, the one about Dominique Ponder. Echo all your sentiments of thoughts with his family, friends, teammates, colleagues, everyone who knew. The Sports Broadcasting Act is due to be put in front of. I'm not getting into US politics and saying like I'm pretty sure it's federal level.
Is it the
Um,
Senate or the governor?
it's, yeah,
One level something.
one of them. I'm too confused with our politics sometimes to begin thinking about all the different levels things have to pass through in US politics. Um, but there is the Sports Broadcasting Act that would consider that is looking for the consolidation of media rights for all of at least the FBS. The Big Ten and SEC have co-signed a 10-page document to the committee. Again, I can't. This has been a long week. I need to get some specifics on this sorted, but they've submitted um, a 10-page document saying why consolidation of media rights the uh, for college football is a bad thing, why that shouldn't be, why um, conferences should have their own autonomy and all that sort of stuff. There was another document that got released just before people were about to meet in Texas by the people putting it together that basically said that's a load of rubbish.
hmm
Um, and
Are we
that
really
the
surprised that the SEC and Big Ten complained about it though?
not really.
No. And when you say they co-signed, do we think the SEC wrote it and the Big Ten just scribbled on the bottom, or do we think it was co-authored properly, or was it the
I
SEC
think it
going,
was
"We
co-authored.
want more money," and the Big Ten went, "Yeah, okay, we agree."
Yeah. Um, it's a six of one, half a dozen of the other document. There isn't a the SEC said this and the Big Ten said yes, sir. I agree.
Mhm.
Um, this is a this is absolutely a co-authored together thing that basically says the status quo is best. Now
So
I'm not gonna.
the rich conferences keep getting richer, and the lesser conferences keep falling behind. Is basically.
Well, that seems to be the gist there, Gary. I'm not gonna lie to you. You seem to have
Oh,
summed it up pretty well there in a few words. It's a bit chaotic. There's a lot of things going on, but does boil down to essentially the Big Ten and SEC don't want consolidation of media rights and have basically said to G6 conferences and things like that, they've said like, no, this is better for you. It's better for you to keep things the way they are. Which
don't
reminded me, I did
rock the
believe
boat.
I tweeted at the time when Ross Dellinger put it out that the document had been released. It seemed a bit, come here, turkeys. Christmas is
Mhm.
great.
Yeah,
You're gonna love Christmas.
you're
There's
gonna love
some,
Christmas. Everybody
uh,
loves turkeys at Christmas.
yeah.
Mm.
It kind of gave off those vibes that, yeah. Let's yeah. Sorry. Any other news that's going on around?
That's all I got, I think.
No, most of the news was mainly combine news, apart from what we've sort of said,
Yeah.
or crazy American dealings in the Middle East, but we won't go into that.
We're certainly not bringing
Ah,
that to the table.
well, to be fair, you can relate this to college football because Lane Kiffin thought he was being funny this week.
Yeah, saw that.
Put himself forward for Supreme Leader of Iran.
Yeah,
Um,
thought that was quite
look,
amusing.
look, I'm not gonna say too much on this one. All I'm gonna say is very few people, but like no, Lane, don't.
Yeah, it didn't get a lot of pushback, did they? It was like, "Oh,
Not
stay,
really.
please, please stay."
So I don't want to be that guy, but also might be a little bit that guy. That's not the. I'm trying to get. Sorry, I do apologize. You might want to run for a minute here because I'm trying to get my thing up here that I had for
Beg your
everyone's
pardon.
favorite. I'm trying to get my thing up.
Your thing.
Um,
What thing?
Anyway,
Normally I would take a pill for it, but if
all
you want to
good.
play that game, Sam, I'll play that game.
So
Um,
anyway, as we just mentioned, the big news this week from college football and that crossover period that we are in is that the NFL Combine has happened. Most of the news that's as Sam's just alluded to has been about the combine and these players that we've been fortunate enough to see for the last couple of years, but now are suddenly starting to make national news and headlines because obviously it's
yeah,
coming close to the time when they move up to the big league. Couple of standouts or storylines around the combine, I guess. I mean, obviously, we've all agreed and we all know that the QB offering this year is
yeah,
not as good as previous years. I think it's safe to say. I think there's one that everyone thinks is going to go pretty early on, and then everyone else is kind of like not entirely sure. I think a lot of the talk is value at QB because you'll be able to get these guys second and third, day
yeah,
two, day three.
Potentially fourth, yeah.
Mm.
I I actually think this is a really interesting quarterback class because of that fact. There is Mendoza, obviously, is going to go at number one. That's pretty much done and dusted.
Yeah.
There's Ty Simpson, who is looking like probably the only other quarterback that'll go round one. And after that, you're looking at, you know,
3, 4.
yeah. I mean, there's obviously there's K Klubnik, there's Drew Alar, and then there's basically a bunch of others that are probably going to be sixth, seventh rounders, maybe some
yeah,
UDFAs in there. So I think the weird thing about this is I mean, I'll probably come onto Klubnik a bit more, but I think that there's a lot of QBs that are being heavily slept on because of how poor they've been in college. And actually, I think that they could, with a bit of time to learn the game in the NFL, could
Yeah.
be outstanding starting quarterbacks.
yeah,
And I think we saw that at the combine with K Klubnik. I think he really shone in that class. Obviously K Klubnik is he was rumored he was a Heisman early Heisman pick. There was talk he was going to potentially be, I think, probably not last year, but the year before, there was potential that he may be a number one pick going forward in the drafts
That
whenever
was
he
the
was to
expectation,
declare.
wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, so I think he is someone that I think is being heavily slept on, and if especially from my own perspective as a Rams fan, if I was thinking about drafting a quarterback in this year, I mean I've already been looking at third, fourth round pickups. Um, him and Joel R were two of my picks
Sleepers,
from the
if
start.
almost sleepers, if you
I
like.
was,
Yeah.
yeah, I had both of those as give them a chance in the NFL to learn under someone as good as Matt Stafford, and I could easily see them being a good starting quarterback in the NFL.
yeah,
It is just a shame that even the likes of Nussmeier and that have just been very poor in the college last year, and it's really sort of devalued
It's really
yeah,
tanked their value, isn't it? For
it's
one
it's
season, and the problem is with that is it's been such a big drop off for them, isn't it? I think I suppose
yeah.
it's not like they've not been as good. It's just they've been really bad in
Mm.
their senior sort of big audition year. That their value has completely nosedived. When, as you say, from the beginning of the season, we've been like, well, Club Nick Nussmeier, they're in the Heisman Trophy winner, they're in
Yeah,
that sort of top five bracket. Literally fell off a cliff.
Mm. And I think overall, I think the quarterbacks that are in this grouping, I think are also just not the standard isn't as high as it has been other years. I think that's probably the biggest thing. But at the same time, I do think that there are plenty of good quarterbacks that are going to be coming into this that will make good second and third stringers.
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen the importance of second and third stringers with obviously Jared Stidham having to play in the AFC Championship. We've had to see,
Mac Jones cover, we've got
yeah,
backups. Backups are no longer just the guy who just carries the clipboard, are they? They
mm,
actually,
no,
on in this game and the injuries and the way the NFL is going, being a backup is actually quite a key piece now. And as you say, there are a number of QBs in this class that are solid. Maybe not, as you say, some years have been very good. There was, a couple of years ago, there was a really good QB class. This is a solid class. They've got some good traits, but maybe their final year hasn't really put it to put them in the best light. But they will make solid backups, third stringers or journeymen. There's a lot of the players here that will probably knock around the league for a good few years at a number of different teams because
yeah,
they've got enough there to make a living out of. But yeah, they're not the all singing all dancing five QBs in the top 10 sort of class. And it's definitely not that.
yeah. Like you say there though, with QBs in the NFL, that's why you have a third quarterback nowadays, is to be the clipboard carrier. It's why you have the QB on your practice squad is to be a bit of a clipboard carrier. Um, I mean, I remember this year the Lions before we played the Ravens signed. I can't remember what his name is, but it was someone who was on the Ravens practice squad or on the Raven like for quite a while.
Mm.
Played under Lamar, like practice with Lamar as the basis of like, well, you're just coming in practice situations simulate Lamar Jackson, so we can try and plan for him. So even then, though, like, it's not even just a case of yeah, you're not coming in as a practice squad guy to take a place on the roster, but you've still got a purpose and you still got to do a job, and your role is still to completely benefit that team. You look even the last couple of years as well. I mean, Gary, you know all too well. Your starting quarterback was only a couple of years ago signed as a third stringer, and then
Mr. Irrelevant.
your starting quarterback goes down, then your second quarterback goes down, then your third quarterback has to stand up, and then oh wait, he's quite good then.
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, look at it. I mean, we've become the QB renaissance room at the 49ers. If you think about it, Mac Jones now will probably get us a third round draft pick if he does go. The year before, Sam Darnold, now Super Bowl winner, when he came to the 49ers, he was awful, but he kind of did well with us, went off to Minnesota, and now he's just won the Super Bowl. So, you
Sort of
know,
thing.
perfect example of how being a backup can actually bounce you back around the league and you
Yeah,
will find your place.
yeah.
Sh-
But
shame, shame it didn't do anything for you though.
yeah, I was gonna say Kevin O'Connell takes
Sorry, I had to get that in
all
there.
Kevin O'Connell takes all the credit for that one.
Yeah.
Um,
Wow.
Look, I appreciate you running out. You running with that for me. Just for a minute while I got my stats back up. Your trivia question for the week: who is the
Just
winningest
remember.
quarterback of all time in college in the FBS? The winningest
Winningest.
quarterback of all time in the FBS, and it makes sense. Well, it nicely tails into that because we're talking about college football quarterbacks.
The winningest quarterback.
Yeah. Somebody,
Somebody who's going to have been there a fair whack.
that's what I'm thinking. It's not like a one season honor, is it? Because, So it depends on what you're classing as. Is it winning percentage or winning is how many
So
games
winningest always means that the biggest number of wins.
wins?
Hence why Michigan, for example, is the winningest program in college football history. Doesn't have the best winning percentage,
Yeah.
but it
Yeah,
has the most wins. Um, so I'm
yeah.
talking most.
You play enough games, you're going to probably have a good winning, most winningest sort of
Yeah.
thing. So,
And I'm going with, by the way, well, I've checked about 10 different places. 9 places say this one name. Somewhere else says another, but I'm going to go with the one name that this says.
we'll go with the nine. We'll go with the
Yeah.
nine.
Yeah.
Joe Burrows? Seen? No.
Nope.
Did
No,
he?
because he bounced around
He
the
did
league
it.
before he
He
settled
did.
with LSU.
Yeah.
He is joint second in most wins in a single season
Yeah.
with
But not
15.
over the. As you say, Sam, he bounced around, and only when he landed at LSU did he really take off, didn't he?
That's, by the way, if you want to have a little bonus in there, he's joint second. Joe Burrow was joint second for most wins in a single season with 15. Who's number one in that one?
Oh, it'd be Mendoza.
Mendoza.
There we go. Thank you. I was going
It
to
has
say,
to be
come
right.
on,
I
man.
was thought it was like
16.
There's got to be a 16-win season.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, back to the winningest quarterback of all time in the FBS.
Oh,
I was going to go with Bo Nix just because of the longevity, but I don't think it's.
He's fourth.
Yeah,
yeah,
Stetson
because he's
Bennett.
stuck around.
Stetson Bennett, no, but he's
Tyler
also
Shock? No,
joint
he's not.
second with Joe Burrow in the single season.
Um,
Joe Burrow,
Brock
Stetson Bennett,
Purdy?
Brock Purdy is not up there.
Because he played for 40. I'm trying to think. You got to be looking at starters who literally started in their freshman year, aren't you?
Yeah, you're probably
Almost.
looking at, yeah. Give you a clue. You mentioned him last week.
Greg.
Eli Manning.
Daughter.
Do you like Dylan Gabriel?
Dylan Gabriel is second with 46 wins, according
Oh,
to most.
Didn't? Is
is it
it
the guy?
Sam Hartman?
Nope.
Because we
Is it
mentioned
the
him.
is it the guy that we were struggling to find his name? A backup for someone.
Nope. Nope.
No.
It's not Stidham or not.
I'll give you
Wait,
one
it's
more
not
clue. Current head
mm,
coach in the NFL.
Harbaugh.
Nope.
No. Mm, 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 mm. QB
32 coaches, only some of them were actual good players in
players.
college, and only some of them played quarterback. A handful of
Who
them
played,
played quarterback.
who played QB?
Wasn't no. I was going to say Liam Cohen, but I don't think it's him.
No, I
It's
don't
not Liam
think he
Cohen.
played. No. QB? No. Played no.
30 more seconds.
Who the hell?
Is it
Current
is it
head coach.
is he a seasoned head coach,
No.
or is it like someone who's new?
Just taken a head coach
Last
job
couple of
last
years.
season.
Last couple of years.
LaFleur? No.
Nope.
Didn't
No.
play QB. McDaniels? No.
Oh, there is someone because he was
Go
on
on.
the other list. He was like
Yeah.
somewhere down. He was like
Oh,
fifth or sixth on the list.
who's the Bears?
Come on.
No.
And I reckon Sam can see a blurred version of the
Yeah.
name, but he just can't see the name.
Oh, it's
It's not Kellen Moore, is it? No.
Yes, it is.
yeah,
Kellen
Kellen Moore.
Moore.
Yeah,
Yes. There
Kellen
you
Moore.
go.
Kellen Moore, current New Orleans Saints head coach, he only became head coach last year,
Mm.
has, according to 49, and somewhere say 50, some say 49 wins. The number one, according to the other source, was Jalen Hurts with 51, but they then had Kellen Moore as number two with 50. So, but according to this and most of the sources that I have found, Kellen Moore, hence why it took me a little bit longer to get the actual trivia up because I needed to go and double check the other sources
Yeah,
as well because I knew this one was a bit contentious. In second place was Dylan Gabriel with 46. Colt McCoy was
That's the
third
one I think we also mentioned last
yeah.
week, wasn't he?
yeah, he was third with 53, and then Bo Nix was fourth with 43. In fifth place with 42 wins was a lot. It's been done multiple times. Like
So where did Jalen Hurts actually fall in that? Was it
I
fifth?
can only see top five.
Hmm.
Just
I
seems a
can
bit
only,
bizarre that he's down as 51 and then he isn't even in the top five for the
it
others.
depends if they're counting the statistic. Well, the place where I checked, where it said Jalen Hurts, I don't know if they're counting
Like
other
preseason.
wins. Not well, not going to be preseason, but like you're talking if he's. I need to double check something on Jalen Hurts here because I don't want to go lying and sound stupid on his name.
Hmm.
Jalen
Um,
Hurts, college
there he
football
is.
wins.
Um, okay, so it just depends
38.
on where they're going to count some of those wins, and if they're counting wins where I mean, according to Wiki, he only had 38.
That's a bit different. And 38 to
Yeah, so I
51. Are we
don't
talking
know where.
postseason wins
Yeah, but then if
or
you go on
yeah?
the NCAA.com, it says, what was it just there? 50, just had it there. Where was it? It said 51 and 5. So in games in which Jalen Hurts appeared in college, his teams went a combined 51 and 5.
Yeah, so that those will be games where he didn't start. So if you think
Yeah, he'd have come on and maybe done like the kneel
his
down at the end.
junior season in Alabama, he played 13 games, started none.
Yeah.
Whereas so that would make sense as to why. So I only checked. I didn't go into Jalen Hurts. I just went and checked the overall. Hence why I ran with the number with the nine places that told me one answer and then didn't run with
Yeah.
Jalen
So
Hurts.
so
So
it's
that'll be yeah,
so it's Kellen Moore for starting wins, essentially.
yeah. Uh,
Yeah,
Actual
and it'll
starting wins.
be Jalen Hurts for overall wins. Yeah.
overall
So that
wins.
Yes.
makes sense.
Yeah.
I would like to shout out before we continue the combine conversation. Lads, if you are to all our listeners in the States, I'm going to suggest you all go to Boston right now and start gathering that tea back out of the harbour. Not only did the GB baseball team clap the living crap out of Milwaukee the other day, 7-3, we are currently in the bottom of the sixth inning, 1-0 up on the San Diego Padres.
Mm.
Get in.
So all I'm saying is go start getting them tea bags out the harbour now.
Yeah.
Get ready for the Olympics.
Yeah, well, yeah, we're gonna. This is the British Revolution of American sports
Here it comes.
right here, right
We're
now.
gonna. Yeah. Does that mean that if we win at the Olympic, we can actually say we are world champions at baseball?
Yes.
Yes.
And if we win and if whoever wins and well, American football, flag football, they can say that they're the flag football world champions.
Listen, I don't want to get too heavy into this debate because this is very contentious. But what I will say is there is a world championship, right? The team who wins the Olympic football tournament call themselves Olympic champions, not world champions,
That's
right?
true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Because there's a World Cup. There are World Cups of these things. For
You,
example,
you,
the
but you,
current world champions at American football are Germany.
yeah, but you
Yes.
do realize that if America win the Olympic gold, they will
Oh,
call themselves world champions.
Oh, I know, but also right, and I say this, and we've got a podcast here talking about American sports and the American versions of the American sports, not even the British version of
Yeah.
the American sports. So, as hypocritical as this may come across to so many people, I would fight if the USA don't win that flag tournament, right? I would laugh my ass off to a point where you would not believe, um, because it's so expected that they walk, especially if they throw NFL players in. They probably will. I'm not saying they won't. They probably will. But if they didn't, how funny would that be? Very, very,
Mm.
very funny.
But
Um,
even if they're told that they've got to put in like college players, let's be honest,
oh
these
yeah,
college players are
oh yeah.
just as good, if not better, than majority of the people out there. So
Even if you put in the normal flag team, right? Because those kids have played football since they were kids.
mm,
And
yeah.
they have the funding for flag football. They have they all have the better stuff for flag football. I
mm,
get it. Just would be funny if they didn't though. You know when you know those games where they kind of walk in and think, oh, this is gonna be so easy. We're not even gonna try, and then all of a sudden the three touchdowns down and scrambling a little bit. One of those kind
Yeah,
of games. You get them
that's
FA
what you
Cup
want, isn't
games
it?
where look at Macclesfield earlier this year. They walked in. You get teams who turn up, go easy. Whoa, hang on, we're 2-0 down.
Yep.
Anyway, back to the combine, right? You're talking about the QBs. Obviously, I want to just do a quick introduction to the combine itself, right? So, for the listeners at home who don't fully know what the combine is, what is it and why does it happen every single year?
Go on then, Sam.
So, well, the combine is essentially a. Suppose how do you describe it? It's kind of like a show and tell of who you are. So you've got to do a certain set of um skilled or a combat like they're called skill tests essentially is what they are. They're like tests which people then watch them essentially perform these tests and rate them based upon how good they were. So there are certain tests which all players have to do, which include the 40-yard dash, the
Yep.
the horizontal jumps, the vertical jump, sorry, and then I think the shuffles. I think they all have to do,
Three cone shuffle,
and
do they
then
all have to do? I think,
yeah,
yeah.
and then also the weight, the bench press.
Yeah.
I think is another one they have to do, and then from after that they then go and do their positional skill
Specifics. Yeah.
specifics. So
Yeah,
for a quarterback, essentially it's throwing a ball to a wide receiver. You've got they tend to do a short passing and then deep ball passing is more of like a it's more just an exhibition, that one, just to see who can throw it the furthest and the hardest and the highest.
Yeah.
Um,
yeah,
and then obviously for wide receivers, there's catching drills. For DBs, there's again similar sort of drills where they're defending, and then linemen, and but both sides have their own as well. And
yeah,
then they
I
all
think
get
it was originally kind of brought around because obviously pre the explosion of the draft and the
a tape.
scouting, etc., and tapes and whatever else, teams had no real understanding of these college players, so they had to have some form of standardized measurements, I guess, right? Against, how fast is the running back from Notre Dame versus how fast is the running back from Nebraska? We
yeah,
haven't watched tape, we haven't seen them, we haven't had the ability to. So teams in the NFL had to have some way of comparing, measuring, whatever you want to call it, so that they could then go, okay, this guy is the one we want. This guy isn't the one we want. Therefore, that's who we need to take.
Yeah, and then
yeah,
you've also got the other side of the combine, which is not the physical; it's the more discussional based, where they have interviews with teams and discuss. Sometimes it can be very menial things. Sometimes it's very specific. Um, so, say for example, probably the biggest one from last year was the fact that Shador Sanders went into the conversation with was it the Philadelphia Eagles and basically said he wasn't going to do any tape review or something
So
along
you've
those
seen
lines. So
enough, yeah.
yeah, so
I,
he shot himself in the foot with basically saying that he hadn't watched any tape on the team or something. Can't remember what it was exactly, but it's one of the arguments as to why he dropped so far down in the draft,
yeah.
Yeah.
was because of his attitude in those meetings.
Um, I think one of the things as well to important. So prior to, I think it was 1977 that they first did the NFL Combine. Or in and around that time, it was inaugurated in 1977. One of the things is like the complaints was that there was no central, there needed to be a centralization of the evaluation process of college talent, because before that, teams had to individually schedule appointments and whatnot with players, travel to the players, and then put them through the drills on the spot.
Yeah.
So instead, what they did was then they inaugurated the NFL Scouting Combine, in which the NFL would then invite players to the combine. All 32 teams could be
One
that
place.
in that building, and then you just put all the players through the drills. And it was basically a centralization of the process. It was for years. It was in Louisiana, went to Arizona, went back to Louisiana, and then since
Good.
Indianapolis.
It
Years
was
now,
late
wasn't it?
80s. Late 80s, it's been in Indiana at the Indianapolis Colts Stadium, Lucas Oil, and it's been there ever since. So, so college players get invited. They go through a number of drills. Now, I do have some of the drills here. So it'll be 40-yard dash, bench press, vertical jump, broad jump, 20-yard shuttle, three-cone drill, 60-yard shuttle, position-specific drills, interviews. Each team is allocated 60 interviews at 15-minute intervals, physical and injury evaluations, drug screening, Cybex test, and the Wonderlic test, which is the Wonderlic one is where they do certain evaluations and you hear some players failed it, and it basically means that they're an idiot, they're a numbskull, and they'll never make it in the NFL ever.
Yeah.
And then all these reports come out of this player failing it and how they're now going to be an undrafted free agent, and then they go in the top 10 and have a
Yeah.
great career, right? So some of these things are daft. The team interviews are the most interesting, and one of the things that's come across is if you try to watch it on TV, they've made it this free event, and apparently, saw a few people talking about it who went to Indiana, went to it this year in Indiana. Now, I imagine that the turnout this year was very good because there were a few prospects there that wanted to go and see some players from Indiana in Indiana. People wanted to see Fernando Mendoza. I can't understand why people in Indiana would want to see Fernando
It wa-
Mendoza right
and,
now.
Surely they've
and,
seen enough of him already, right?
and ironically, he wasn't even there.
Yeah.
Well, he was there, but he
Yeah, but
wasn't.
he didn't
He
perform.
didn't
He
throw.
didn't participate in the drills, did he? In the
Yeah.
throws.
Um, but he did do some of the warm ups, which was really because he's in his normal clothes while everyone's dressed up, and he's still there doing the warm ups with everyone. I thought it was quite fun. Um, there is a place for it still. There's a lot of debate on whether it should or should not still be a thing. I think there's a place for it. It's not the be all or end all. Scouting has changed since the 1980s, hasn't it? Really, there's every team has mountains of tape on every single player. They have all these different things. We found that putting them in these specific testing conditions isn't the best way to generate whether they can actually perform on game day. It's great that you can run in a straight line really fast for a 40-yard dash, but how can you hit your routes? How can you hit all these
It's
different things? What
it's become more of a, a
It's
televised
a television
thing,
thing, yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, and a way for them to showcase these players and raise their profiles, especially for some of them. But also, it allows the likes of Rich Eisen to do the 40-yard dash every year
Which he's doing
and
at
things
the
like
draft
that.
this year.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
not even doing
he's
it. He didn't
changed
even
it
do it
up
at the
this year,
combine.
hasn't he? Yeah,
But one of the best things about the combine is it, like I say, it's an opportunity for all 32 teams to be in one place, for all combine or a lot through over 300 prospects to be in one place. You imagine most of the players that were there will be getting picked at the draft. Some of them will end up being UDFAs, and it's the interviews, right? This is what most play. A lot of players are there to put something on tape, right? There are some of those we talk about the G5 players who've been grinding their asses off for years. They just need the opportunity to get in front of NFL talent and put it on there. For them, it's really important. For Fernando Mendoza, for example, not the most important for Caleb Downs, Sonny Styles, and some of the Ohio State Buckeyes, some of the Michigan players, some of the Texas, the FSU. The eyes are on them anyway, right?
Yeah.
These are not players that NFL teams going to be unfamiliar with.
None of them are making a big surprise going, oh, this guy's actually really good, isn't he? I mean, the Sonny Styles news, man, it's a freak athlete.
Yep.
He's
I
definitely,
think
you know,
probably the most important thing that comes from the combine for NFL recruitment is the interviews, because those are where I think a lot of the make or breaks are made in terms of, are they going to fit within the organization? Are they
yeah,
going to fit in terms of understanding how I want to play the way that I want to play?
Hmm.
And that's where I think that if you're talking about the purpose of the combine, for me, that's the most important thing. And I think probably
Yeah.
the NFL probably agree that the skills part of it is more for entertainment purposes more
yeah,
than
it's
anything else.
definitely like
Yeah.
the NFL has become an entertainment business. The
Like we're
combine is also that. Yeah.
being
I
able to watch someone try and break the 40-yard dash record every single year, because that's always funny to see.
I
Yeah.
And
know.
And it always
watching
makes,
some
Yeah.
end up watching some D lineman just suddenly break off a 440, and it's like, what the hell is
what
he
the hell
doing?
just
He's
happened there? Yeah.
350 pounds and he's running at ridiculous speeds, and you just think, Jesus.
I think
There are
like you say,
moments like that. There are moments, even though, you see those D linemen, you see some of the offensive linemen, 300 pounds or whatever else, absolutely shifting. You're just like, there's some of these freaks of nature, they are just that. It is
Mm.
quite incredible sometimes.
Yeah. And I know we're gonna we have to generalize this whole thing relatively quickly. We could spend 2 hours talking about the combine itself, what it is, what it does, and all those things. We're not gonna do that. So I apologize if we're missing a lot of things. What I do want to talk about though is pro days are gonna come up, right? And some of those would be a bit better because you'll find if Indiana, for example, right? Some of those Indiana receivers might want to put a bit more tape on. Great. Fernando Mendoza's not throwing. Didn't throw at this year's combine. He's the only quarterback not to participate in throwing drills who attended the combine. Now, a lot of these players who do this, you see it every year. Two, three players at some positions will generally not partake in certain on-field drills because they don't look. Your draft stock cannot go up
Yeah.
at all, right? And you
It's a
throw
no-win
in as
situation at times, isn't it? Where you,
Fernando Mendoza, you throw into a Bowling Green wide receiver is not going to do anything for you. And because you are not on the same page, you don't know this wide receiver, you don't know how fast he is, you don't know when he's going to cut in, you don't know how he's going to break. It's so hard to get those timings right that there's nothing you can do you won't even really do much for anyone else's stock at the
yeah,
same time. So these quarterbacks, so Fernando Mendoza, he'll throw at the pro day, not because he's going to gain anything from it, but because some of those wide receivers that he's been practicing with day in, day in, day out for the last year or two, they benefit from it
yeah,
because they're gonna do all these different things, but they've got a QB who knows their timing,
that
knows
knows
their
their route,
rhythms, knows their
knows,
breaks, knows that
yeah,
yeah. Um, what a lot of these players do benefit from though is the opportunity to sit in front of 15 some of these NFL teams, right, and have these interviews because look, again, with all due respect to Bowling Green, only a few NFL teams may turn up to that pro day, right? They're not necessarily only so many. Some not every NFL team's going to turn up. Every NFL team is going to see you there, and you get to at least go in and chat to them. Now,
yeah,
my last part on what the combine is and isn't is more of a fun thing, right? So I've got an article up here which outlines. So some of these interviews are a bit weird. The NFL teams have been known to make these interviews weird. Some of them don't do it. Some of them have moved away from being a bit weird. And
yeah,
some of they do the whole look, we're gonna throw Brian Dayball, I think I remember some of them was like he'll throw a quarterback he'll throw a huddle, like something you'll shout out in a huddle, a
yeah,
play. I'm gonna say it, I want you to read it back to me. They'll have a play on the sheet, they'll line up a rough defense and they'll say, I want you to change something at the line there that's going to beat that defense, right? Those are the types of things that are really good. But like I say, these teams want to know your mentality. They want to know who you are. They want to know what makes you tick. They want to know all these different things. So they put you under a lot of pressure. So here are the 15, according to F for the win, USA Today in 28. This article's from 2018, by the way. Here are the 15 of the strangest questions that were asked, right? Some of them downright offensive or ignorant. Do you find your mother attractive? So
I suppose the point is that if you say yes,
if you are at home, right? And I know that Gary and Sam are going to do this as well, but like, if you are at home, I want you to put yourself in the position if you are an NF, you are a wide receiver coming out of William and Mary, and you finally got the opportunity to sit in front of these NFL teams, and you're thinking, I'm going to prove myself. And they ask you, do you find your mother attractive? Next one, do you like men?
do you like men?
Do you like men?
Are they allowed
Um,
to ask these types of questions anymore?
I would imagine in a regular job, if you were interviewing for Target, probably not.
Yeah,
But I think it's some reason the NFL, again, I think a lot of the teams are starting to get away from this.
I was going to say
This article itself was 8 years ago.
yeah,
okay,
what benefit does um knowing if someone likes men or not actually benefit, you know, I
So
get that they're probably trying to work out that if you just went, no, how dare you suggest that I'm XYZ, they probably
yeah,
think, That's a bit of an overreaction, something along
There's
those
a
lines.
Yeah, so I think that the idea of some of these things is to watch how you and your brain process this information. When you are thrown a complete curveball, something totally
Mm.
random, unexpected, or even quite shocking, how do you deal with it
Yeah.
on
Yeah,
the spot? Because if you are lining up, again, I'm going to use the example of a wide receiver from William and Mary, you're lining up in the slot, you get jammed at the line, and you are on your back. How do you deal with it? If you are at the line and and some corner is sat there talking absolute smack at you, if you can't
yeah,
handle that situation, so I think that's where a lot of it comes from. It's still weird. Don't get me wrong. There are better ways to do it. Anyway, what's your murder weapon of choice? Now, no one answer this one, right? This is
That,
on record. This is
yeah.
on record. So don't incriminate yourself here.
Mhm.
Well, the
One of the questions is what is your murder weapon of choice? Some other ones, playful
You'd
but
hate
don't
to
really
think
have
that
anything.
some of the NCAA students, unfortunately, would have probably said motor vehicle.
Would you rather be a cat
Oof.
or a dog?
Okay, so I mean that one you can get,
Dog.
right? You can kind of understand that one. It's like different. Everyone has this idea of, if you're a dog person, if you want to be a dog, you're kind of leading of the
Yeah.
pack and whatever else, whereas cats passive and whatnot. So I can get
Or
that one.
you take from a dog, you take loyalty, you take unwavering commitment, you take all these
Yeah.
different things from a dog, which is why Sam didn't waste a breath and shout dog.
Hmm.
Mhm. That and the fact that I
Correct
don't like
answer. Cam Newton was asked that and answered, "I see myself more as a human being," which is also
fair.
a good answer.
That's a good response.
Hmm.
Where are you sitting on a bus speeding on a mountain? Where are you sitting on a bus speeding on a mountain? I realised the pause in that question might have changed the question.
Behind the driver.
Driver seat.
Where does the
No,
sun rise and where does it set?
East and
So,
west.
rises in the west, sets in the east.
Other way around, mate.
well, Sam's just fell to the
Sorry, the other
sixth
way
round.
around. Yeah, sorry.
Sam's just fell to the sixth round.
Yeah.
Um,
Sam
Yeah,
doesn't
sorry.
Boxers
know
The
or
his
other way
left from
around.
his
briefs?
right.
Boxers or briefs? Again, don't need this public information. Don't
No.
need to answer that one. Um,
But if you
although
say
to be
briefs, you're
fair, no,
weird.
actually, I'm not that asked. Other good retailers available on that Ask Boxers are fantastic.
Yeah.
I will shout them out. They're fantastic. But also, oddballs have some really cool NFL ones.
Oddball.
So
Hmm.
if any of you want to, just well, all three of us will take. Yes. How many ways could you use a brick in a minute?
Maybe don't answer because that could link to the other
It
question
links
from
back to
before.
the what's your favorite murder weapon, right?
What's your murder weapon of choice?
What team do you pick in Madden?
Oh,
The LA
That's a good
Rams.
one. What kind of fish are you? And are you afraid of clowns? Are some of the other questions that you get asked. Um,
I mean, you hear these stories, right? Of like Google always, if you go for a job interview at Google, they throw you completely random things. Sounds like somebody in the NFL decided to go sit around a table and go, let's come up with the most bizarre, stupid
well,
questions and ask these kids.
not
Remember,
to
most of these questions are being targeted at 21-year-olds as well.
not to make this about my current life situation, but I've been in and around the job market now for a couple of months, right? And I've done a couple of job interviews. I've spoke to some really cool businesses as well, by the way, and I've got some great. And I've spoke to some really cool people in as part of this process and previously in my life, and I've also done job interviews for other companies and companies that I've been part of, right? And I think there are some interesting things I've seen from job interviews. Now, you take this as a job interview, right? I know one company that would take you for some food. They wouldn't do a job interview in office. They'd take you for some food, right? Somewhat cheap, but an actual half decent. So like they might take you to McDonald's, right?
Yep.
Or they might take you to a local cafe and say, we want this to be informal. We just want it to be a nice informal chat. We'll get you a little something to eat. And they'd say, like, if you put salt on your food before you try it, you are immediately disqualified from the job. Because you don't make that decision based on how it tastes. You do it because you do it. What
Yeah,
you
you
need to do
you
is
don't you
gather
haven't
the
tasted it.
information first.
Does it need salt? Yeah.
Does it need salt? Does this flavor need enhancing? Um again, similar to I've been taken to coffees taken 4 coffees before as part of a job interview, and I apparently if you put sugar in your coffee before you drink the coffee, or you order a thing a certain when you just say, oh, I just want that.
Yeah.
Um, are you willing to say, we'll pay for it, get anything you want, I'll take a large then, thank you. Now, some
Right.
companies might say, that's cheeky, they'll take too much. Some might say, he's willing to go and ask for what he wants. And the last thing I'll say on this one is, do you ever remember the movie Ted?
Yes.
Feels a bit weird, but I'm going to remember. If you remember when he went for the job interview and he was like, I don't want the fucking job, right? I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to like it. I'm going to hate it. And then he's got that thing like, where do you see yourself in 10 years? Doing your wife. Um, and the guy's like, that takes guts. I like guts.
Well,
You're
you
hired. And
get
he's
the
like, oh,
job, and it's like, for Christ's sake, I didn't even want the damn job.
yeah, because he was like, you got the guts. You'll just say it how it is. That's what I want in my. It reminds me of that sometimes. Just the whole like, we it's not the question, it's not the thing, it's how you go about it, it's how you do these things that sometimes it's just like your reaction is the test.
Yeah, it's
The
Mm.
more
answer
important than
itself
the answer,
doesn't
and
matter.
but yeah,
What matters is, are you thinking through the answer? Are you, and I'll go back to one more time, the you're a wide receiver, you jammed on the line of scrimmage. If you
hot
can't
on your
handle that
backside, or
weird question being thrown at you, how are you gonna when you've been jammed at the line of scrimmage and the corner stood over you going, get up, bitch. Like, get out, you weak, um, expletives I'm
other
not going to say on
things.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
other things that
Uh,
could be thrown
Female
at you. Yeah,
genitalia. You female genitalia. Um, it's like, it's putting, I think that says much more about it. It's weird. There are better ways to do it, though.
yeah.
Right. Um,
I
as
mean,
we kind of go,
remember it was weird. Talking about kind of, you talked about some of those weird tests that you just also mentioned as well. Well, there was that thing that came out when, we touched on it briefly about Brock Purdy being Mr. Irrelevant and being a third, a backup and whatever else, and then ended up not being, being really actually quite good at processing and whatever else. And there was a test, I can't remember which one it came out as, that he at the combine, and through part of that he'd scored really highly on this aptitude type test, and then suddenly for like 2 seasons that was like, oh, everyone was suddenly really interested on that, because that's like a suddenly this was a good indicator that you'll be a good QB. I can't remember what it was now, but it's interesting, as you say, these things come in and out of fashion depending on the latest trends of stats and data and
yeah.
whatever else. I can't remember. That's going to annoy me what that was now.
Look,
I bet having an interview with Sean McVay is a hilarious moment
Oh,
because
it must be.
he must
I,
be so like intense to have an interview with.
Walk in
I,
and he's there in his shorts game.
Yeah.
I can see Sean McVay wide-eyed like that.
Mm.
Yeah.
Really, really putting
Es-
the guys under pressure just because
Especially
he's
if you've
just
hit him, I reckon your first interview of the day, so he's had all his like his coffee and his adrenaline's just in his
full on
system. He's like,
ready to
yeah,
go.
Mm.
Yeah.
yeah. But
When
it's
he reads out those plays to Matt Stafford, it's the same one he reads to you, and you're like, what?
What now?
he's still talking.
So what?
He's still
Sorry, wait.
talking. Jeez.
Do I get a wristband to help me with this? And it's like,
But you also come out with some of these great clips from the comp, and one of my favorites will always be Keon Coleman. Like I've asked him, "What do you do in your spare time?" And one of the ones from this, I think it was this year, was like, "I like to go to the supermarket and get the really, really weird, obscure chip flavors. Come home and test them." And one of them was like, it was like, I can't remember the flavor. It's close, but it's like banana and avocado or something daft like that. And he was like, and what did you think? It was horrible, but I tasted it and I tried it. That's my hobby. I go to the supermarket and buy weird chip flavors and see if I like them. But
Yeah.
Keon Coleman's was my favorite because we were talking about golf, and they were like, "You golf?" And he was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can't, I'm not Tiger Woods. I'm Tiger. Wish he could, but I'm not Tiger Woods. I don't." And like,
That really put him on the map. That did.
it
yeah.
did, but it showed that, like, look, he was not. You put him in that, and again, Fernando Mendoza said it. This is the, as everyone says, this is the biggest job interview of your life, right? It's a
Hmm.
job interview, and it's for a lot of these players. This might be your only chance to speak to an NFL team. This might be, it's a And if you can be in there and all your life has led up to this moment, and you can be Keon Coleman just sat there like that and bantering off and having a laugh and be yourself, right? And that for me is going to be more important because teams want to know your personality. They want to know who you are. They want to know who they're dealing with. If you can go in there, show your personality, and not be wavered by that process, I think that speaks volumes.
Yep.
And unfortunately, they were talking about going on to this year's combine. We'll go back onto the actual combine itself. But using Keon Coleman as an example, I think they were Brandon Bean was talking about one of the wide receivers. Might have been Carnell Tate. It would have been
Yeah.
Carnell Tate, right? And he was going on about how great Carnell Tate is. Someone clipped it, put it on Instagram, and I ended up putting, so good job you've clipped it for in 3 years when Brandon Bean says he never wanted him in the first place.
Yeah.
Because speaking of Keon Coleman, that's recently happened. Um, Anyone else stand out to you, by the way, this year? Did anyone in particular stand out to you?
I mean, it's a weird one. Standout, I would say no, because I think we knew a lot of it, but Kenyon Sadiq obviously had a day. Did he have a day? Definitely his stock has jumped up a little. I think he'll definitely be going top
Bottom of
10.
the first round. No,
Jeez.
I don't think he will.
You
I
don't
think
think
he's
he'll go
going to
that
be.
high?
I
But
think he'll be first round because he was teetering on being a first round anyway. I think he'll still be first round.
hmm,
My thing is, I don't think there's enough need for a tight end that high.
no. Which team needs it? Yeah. Hmm.
I think you're probably looking at probably around at highest probably around 2021, and then I'm not too sure who actually needs. Obviously, I know that the Chargers have
Think
just let go Will
hearing a
Disley.
Bronco,
They
yeah,
just released
Broncos
Will
might be in
Disley.
for him because they've not really got a tight
Yeah,
end.
so you've got some of the teams like that. I mean, the Rams love a tight end.
But you've got 17 of them on the roster already. You
Yeah,
don't
well,
need any more, do you?
I don't know what we're doing with Higby, so
Yeah.
you never know.
Can I just take 1 second? We've had some news in the last hour, which has been shared into the WhatsApp group chat. I've only just seen because I've only just checked the actual WhatsApp group chat and come off my normal tabs. Lou Holtz, famed former Notre Dame head coach of 14 seasons, has passed away at the age of 89 today
Yeah.
in Orlando, Florida.
Sad news for the Fighting Irish there. An absolute legend of coaching. Yeah, sad times. I mean, a good innings. It's not like one of our earlier news stories, a good innings he had. I think he's a Hall of Famer. Is he a college football Hall of Famer? I'm pretty sure he is.
Uh, I want to say so. Um,
Yeah.
but he is one of the all-time greats of college
Yep.
college football head coaching. Um, William and Mary, NC State, Arkansas, Minnesota, multiple seasons, a lot of seasons at Notre Dame in which he won a national championship, 100 wins as head coach at Notre Dame, and then for a few years at South Carolina before retiring for the final time. Had a bit of a career in broadcasting as well. Lou Holtz, aged 89. Was thinking of his family and friends at a very, very difficult time. Great innings, though.
Yeah.
Um,
Rest in peace, legend.
yeah, a legend, absolute legend of the game. Sorry, like I say I only just saw that now. It was about an hour ago that came out. Um, but that obviously needs to be shouted out. That can't wait a week.
Yeah.
So this is a horrible way to come out of this. You were talking about tight ends, Sam.
Yeah. We were talking about which team is going to need
Yeah,
Sadiq because
yeah. So
he had a combine day.
Yes.
I think it's going to be the Chargers. Chargers probably need a tight end. Obviously, they've released Will Disley, so he's no longer going to be a Charger. So I can see them potentially looking at Sadiq. There's also, like I say, the Broncos probably are in line to need a tight end.
Mm-hmm.
Like I say, the Rams, if they wanted to just add even more
Just for giggles, right? They've
statistic
got
weapons to that team, then yeah, fair enough. Add him in, just for the bants. But Yeah, I think there are plenty of teams that need a tight end, but I don't think it's a priority.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's why, tight end's a weird one because unless you are,
It's you
unless,
need one, unless you need one like last year, like
yeah,
the Bears needed one, the Colts needed one, and they were some good ones there, so they went and
well,
got
that's
them.
it. And the ones that were there were too good to allow to drop further.
Yeah,
Whereas
it
I
was like,
think Sadiq is good, but I don't think he's necessarily top 10 worthy.
yeah,
And I don't
I
think
think you're
that
right. Yeah,
there's not a top 10 need for him. I mean, you look at the teams that are in that top 10, Jets need a whole hell of
uh,
everything.
yeah,
Um, you know, the Raiders need a whole hell of everything, but they're getting a quarterback, rightly
yeah.
so. I mean, there's just for me, there's no teams that I think that are desperate for a tight end. There
Tight
are
end
too
in
many
that.
other
Yeah.
positions that they need. You know,
But as you
that,
say, as you get into 24, 25, and if he's still on the board, teams are going to be there going, he's too good to leave
yeah,
there.
he's what we see as like a luxury pick, isn't he? He's not someone. He's not a unless you're desperate for a tight end, which I don't think there are many teams that are at the moment. He's a luxury to have.
Yeah.
So I think he's the sort of he's the sort of player that will go to a playoff team.
Yes. Yeah. As you say, one of those higher 20 picks who have been
Mhm.
at the playoffs who just need some tweaks or need a little added extra. Their roster's pretty
Yeah.
solid. But if he's there, you're kind of like, got to take him because if you don't take him, one of your competitors will, and it'll come back and bite you if you don't take that sort of best player available type thing.
Mhm.
So yeah, he stood out to me. He had a really good day. Everyone saw Sonny Styles. Everyone knew he was going to be that good. There's no surprise from that one. I
I
think the
think,
Oregon.
yeah, he was he. I think the thing with Sonny Styles is everyone knew how good he was anyway,
Mhm.
but he just proved it on the big stage.
Yeah, yeah, that's the
And that,
difference. Is it's like when under, as you say, the ultimate pressure of this is the biggest job interview of your life. He still was able to just go out there and be himself and deliver
Mhm.
some of the stats and whatever else, and everyone's just suddenly gone, oh, and laughing and joking, and there's so many people, and you see all the memes that are out there. There's all these GMs writing down Sonny Styles no matter what on a post-it note because
Mhm.
it's draft day all over. That's the kind of player that you build a team around.
But it's
Yeah.
interesting because going into the draft, Sonny Styles was again middle of the pack. Wasn't particularly like he was going to be a first rounder, but not high. And the latest I've seen him is potentially he could go at 5. But think again, I think linebackers is an interesting thing because I think there are a lot of good linebackers this year. You got the
Yeah,
likes of Arvell Reese, you've got obviously Sonny Styles, you've got, you know, there's a good amount of linebackers where, you know,
you don't
do
have to
teams do
spend that
teams
high
des-
on. You mean?
yeah, do teams desperately need a linebacker? And again, I think this is where we tend to see that a lot of where we see the draft in itself, how certain players fall down and everyone when they're talking about it's like, how are they allowing him to fall this far? And it's like, but look at the teams and what they need. They rather go for someone where they need, where there's the depth isn't as good in the draft. So
Yeah,
they know they can allow him to drop because they can pick him up later. And that might be one of the situations with Sonny Styles is he drops further than what we expect because of the fact that
teams
a
have a
team would
bigger
rather,
need
yeah,
or as you say,
team,
that the need that team has there, the drop off in quality of that position. Much like we
yeah,
say, you got Mendoza all the way up
Yeah.
here, and everyone else is kind of down here. If there's like the offensive line is not that great this year either, but there's a couple of good players, so they're there, and then the drop off is so big. Maybe a team goes, "Stars is lovely, but we've got a bigger need of having the better of the O
yeah.
line
Like you
than
look at
than a
someone like
good."
it. It's the exact example of Caleb Downs, and this is why I think he's still going to be a top 5 pick because of the fact that he is such a higher level compared to any other safety in
Yeah,
this draft class that he has to go top 5 because he's just a cut above everyone else. And Ruben Bain, I think, is probably another one. I think he should be going top 5 because again, the the number of we had that year, was it not last year, the year before, where there were countless edges that you could pick from,
yeah.
whereas this year
It was
again
just such
there
a
are good
deep. It
ones,
was a
but
deep year for edges, and so they just all kind of dropped down, didn't they? Because everyone was
Mm.
like, well, it's not him. There's another one that's much plug and play as the rest of them. But yeah, you're right. I think Caleb Downs, as you say, is a step above.
Yeah.
Be interesting where he goes, though, because you look at it and you think, which team needs a safety above
I think
anything else? It's like,
he's the thing is with Caleb Downs, and he's one of those where he is a safety by position only, by
yeah,
Mm.
position name only, right? I look at a Brian Branch, obviously, because like
why wouldn't
all
you?
I have to go off is the Lions. Um, Brian Branch was one of those. He's a safety by name, but he can do the role of linebacker. He can do the role of corner. He can do. Yeah, you're probably gonna whack him in and call him a safety, but he's gonna be all over. And I think you watch
Mm.
certain games last year. I mean, I remember watching the game where. Well, that the game never really happened. At least I don't. I pretend it never happened. When he played Michigan, that never happened this year. He was everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, you
He's
watch.
everywhere.
I mean, you watch him in that game where in the playoffs against us, and
Yeah,
he was just. I mean, he made the biggest play of the game, and he is just that player. He can
Yep.
you could slot him anywhere in that backfield, and he's going to be important. And I
Yeah,
think that's why, even if a team needs a cornerback, there's a possibility they're going to look at him.
yeah,
he's got the
So,
speed, the strength. He's got the speed, the strength, the knowledge of the game, and as much as I hate that team, um, but their defensive coordinator on another level is a vitriolic version of hate.
yeah,
At the end of the day, he's a former NFL defensive coordinator and head coach, right? So hopefully, for his sake, he stopped being a complete and utter arsewipe and treating people like crap and has managed to get his teaching style to be much, much, much better. And clearly it has been the case because, but what we, I think we don't account for much or enough with this Ohio State, particularly the defense, is if they're getting NFL level coaching by their defensive coordinator,
yeah,
they are gonna be ready for the league.
Mhm.
They are going to
It's
be
the same with
ready.
Arvell Reese as well.
yeah.
He's another one that he is raring and ready to go to being
Yeah.
a starting
He's
linebacker in
a
the
plug
NFL.
in straight in, and I think he'll go Jets. I think Jets
Mm.
Titans is where Reese is going to go, and then
Yeah.
if one goes to the Jets, the other Ruben Bain goes to the other one. I don't know how they'll,
Mm.
which way. Those are the top, which is why I'm looking at it going, well, where does Downs go? Does he actually drop to 7, 8, 9, somewhere like that? Because I don't think the Browns will take him.
Given the situation that the Cardinals are in, it wouldn't surprise me if they took him because
Hmm.
I mean, they're another team that need to plug a lot of holes,
Yeah,
and I just think that they can't get the quarterback. They need the quarterback. They're not going to get one
no,
realistically. So to me, where else can we? And there's an argument that they need a wide receiver. And they've got
they,
Marvell
they
Harrison
got
Jr.
they
They've
got
got Trey
MHJ, haven't
McBride.
they? Yeah.
Like
Do
they've
they
got
need a second?
pieces. There's going to be wide receivers available on the market. So to me, they're the sort of perfect position where if you can't trade out of the out of the top, the third pick,
And you
pick
haven't
the
got like a burning. We want
yeah
this guy.
best player available, and he
Yeah,
is.
because who's? I mean, Buda Baker is he still at the Cardinals? Is he?
Yeah, he's still there.
So he's getting on a bit now, isn't he?
But again, imagine a Buda Baker
Caleb
with
Downs.
Caleb Downs together.
Yeah,
And Caleb, I would say Caleb can just slot in at cornerback if he really
yeah,
needs to.
Yeah,
So,
he's a gadget type player. That's the word I was
mm,
looking for. Was gadget. He's one of those gadget Swiss Army knife type defensive
mm.
backs.
yeah. It'll be
So
Um,
interesting to see.
just sort of moving away from Caleb Downs, there's someone I wanted to
fuck
mention,
you.
and it was down to it's a positional, an interesting position because the running back situation I think this year is an interesting one because I think there's two clear 1 and 2s in
Yeah,
Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price. I think they're
yeah,
the out and out two one and two. But it's that third, fourth, fifth spot that I think is the really interesting one. And someone who had a very good combine, who ironically I hadn't really heard much of until the combine, was Mike
Washington.
Washington Jr.,
Mm.
who was from Arkansas. You look at his stats. He's 6'1", 223 pounds, and he ran a 4.33 second 40-yard dash, which for
Yeah,
a guy of his height and size, pretty damn good.
it's a pretty
Um,
eye-opening sort of like, whoa, where did that come from? Yeah.
and you've got to bear that in mind that he had a 1.51 10-yard split as well, which is
Hmm.
really good. Um, he has the ability to, I suppose this is where he could potentially look at taking that third spot. And when we talk about, like, you know, the combine and how important it is for certain players, obviously for the likes of Mendoza, probably Love, Jadarian, these players, it's less important for them because they are already considered stars.
Yeah.
But for the likes of someone like a Mike Washington, who, looking at the draft, probably was maybe sixth, seventh on the RB chart, in order to be able to put himself forward to be putting at third, it obviously changes the dynamic of how that looks. He'll probably still only be a third round pick, but it's a third round pick rather than
Yeah.
a sixth round
Rather
pick.
than a fourth, fifth, sixth. Yeah.
And I mean, even if you look at the other stats that he had a 39-inch vertical, a 10'8" broad jump, which was second at the position this year, behind Seth McGowan.
Mhm.
He performed really well, and he managed to get 1,000 yards for an 8 touchdowns last year. So in an Arkansas team who were awful this year,
Weren't great,
and
were they?
no, and I think he has the physicality and the ability to.
Yeah, he's a three down back, isn't he? He's
Yeah.
not like an in and out. He can stick around, he can block. He's got the physique to do pass protection for the third down. He's got his hands. He's got his hands are better than I think his stats give him credit for. But then, as you say, Arkansas weren't great at
Ooh,
anything. So
I mean, one of the questions as well, though, was what teams do you reckon would take punts on running backs that aren't a Jeremiah Love or Jadarian Price? Because
Seattle will take him.
you're
Seattle
starting
will
to
take
look
him
at,
round 3 or 4, I think.
yeah, I want to say, but you start looking at round three, four. That's where the running backs will really start to come off the board. This
Mhm.
is, oh, I cannot wait to not hear people shut up about positional value and all that wonderful stuff that doesn't get really boring after 10 bloody minutes. But running backs is one of those positions where you do argue about positional value a lot. And a couple of years ago, there was a Bijan Robinson and a Jameer Gibbs who went in the top 12. And the world got set alight because two running backs were taken in the top 12. And positional value, guys. Positional value. Um,
The
but
thing is,
it's
the
not been
funny thing
as.
about the funny thing about the whole positional value thing is yes, running backs aren't seen as the most desirable need because of the fact that they have a very short shelf life, and B, there's plenty of them knocking about that you could probably pick up at least one or two decent ones that'll do a job. The difference is that every year you will have someone who is just next level in that
Yeah.
position that will break the mold. I mean, I know he hasn't exactly set the world light, but it was the same with Kyle Pitts coming out of college. When has a
Yeah,
tight end
Yeah.
really ever been taken in the top
Well,
10 and he got taken at 8? And it's like these things do happen. It's just at what
Kyle,
point do we?
mhm.
Kyle Pitts was one of those who was a victim of the transition of the position.
Mm.
That's well fun to say. That is the first time I've ever said that verbiage out loud. And transition of position is like Skillage in the
That is
Village type stuff, right?
that is nice.
It's genuinely. I want you to say it once, right? Transition of position, and I just feel how fun it is to say.
Transition of position
How fun is that to say?
is good. I like
It's
it.
fun to say. Anyway, that was one answer. But Kyle Pitts got bit by that, right? Because
Yeah.
we were moving away from the traditional we were in the process, I think, of genuinely redefining the position of tight end. We had we're not going to pretend that pass catching tight ends versus blocking tight ends wasn't already a thing, and that there was a difference between the two. You look at obviously the argument between Gronk and Travis Kelce, for
Gonzalez.
example, and
Hmm.
Tony Gonzalez, and that kind of argument that was floating about. And actually, well, you can't really compare them because Gronk was better because he could do both, or Gonzalez was better because he was Travis Kelce was better because he was, and Kyle Pitts got caught in that the kind of the 2020 2021 as people were going, yeah, but he's a wide receiver with the name tight end, similar to what I said about Caleb Downs, who can be a linebacker with the name safety or a corner
Mm.
with the name safety. You were getting in that weird position of what is a tight end these days, and how do we value a tight end? And look at running backs now. Is what is it? How do we value a running back? Is it because they have? Is it when they have pass catching ability? Is that what makes it, or is it when they have the home run hitting ability? What these positions are constantly evolving, and I think Kyle Pitts just got caught in a. But he's basically a wide receiver with the name tight end that we can get really early, and he's going to be.
Mhm.
It was just, I think it was just really weird. But I'm kind of looking at this running back class, and I'm like, actually, the Lions going in for a running back this year. Now we've got rid of David Montgomery this week, which probably not going to hold
Hmm.
me there. That was horrible news. I cried for. I might still cry tonight, but the Lions are probably going to be in the position for. I don't see the Lions going into the free agency for another running back where you can go and get a third, fourth rounder on dirt cheap who can. Because there's quite a good value in there in the third round, fourth round, and now even in the fifth round that between the tackles, punch him in the face, get a
Mm.
couple of yards. Running backs is a good value
Yeah.
in those in this draft.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's like I say that the depth I think for running back bar the top two is a strong depth in terms of that third, fourth, fifth round picking sort of vibe. So yeah, I'd agree with that. Um, I suppose going on to just a couple of other players that I wanted to mention,
Yeah,
someone who I thought had again elevated his positional stock is Chris Brazell. Um,
yeah,
he again had a great combine. He managed to run a 4:47. Um, you know, again for a guy who's 6'4", 198 pounds, running a 4:47. It's not world beating speed, but it's still pretty good.
Hmm.
Um, and to be honest, he's another one. He averaged 16.4 yards per catch last year. He got 9 touchdowns. Um, he's an interesting one because again, I think the wide receiver class is really, really odd this year in that you've got a lot of you've obviously got your stars in Parnell Tate, Jordan Tyson, Mackay Lemon as your top three.
Conception.
No, I wouldn't put him up there.
Wouldn't put him that
But then I
high,
think
but
you've got this. He falls into this next bracket of like good, very good options available, and
yeah.
Chris Brazell falls into that category of if I don't want to, if I'm not looking to really elevate my wide receiver core in terms, the likes of what the Titans need to do in that, and you know, those sorts of picks will need. You're looking at, the likes of Chris Bell, Brazell, Conception, who are very good wide receivers in quite a heavy depth class that can do a great job in that position and could, put their hat on being a wide receiver too, maybe even, surprising and going to a wide receiver one.
Mm.
And so I think, again, it's another one that where there's plenty of opportunity for wide receivers to really up their stock. And I think he was one that really stood out. And again, another one that sort of I add to that is Zachariah Branch. Again, he's an interesting one because he came out of college. Well, no, he came into college as a very, potentially being, similar to a Marvin Harrison Jr., that sort of level. And he
Yep.
never really reached those heights. And now he's kind of rebuilding his stock a bit. So he's someone else who I think he has that ability to be able to be, a very good wide receiver, and he'll be another one
Yeah.
that'll be in that sort of bracket of wide receivers just behind the top three.
Yeah. One overall comment on the draft as we begin to wrap this episode up is just want to make a comment on just how fast this draft is. Just
Yeah.
how fast the combine was. The
Mm.
fastest combine on record. Um, is this a product of, look, as humans or at least as athletes, as facilities get better at college, at the collegiate level and all that sort of stuff, are we just seeing them just become better and better athletes? Is this what it is, or are we just having a freak of nature class, or just specifically this class for whatever reason is just fast?
I think it's a mix. I think we won't be able to tell until we have future combines, but the facilities are always getting better. Recovery ability is always getting better, and just every facet of being an elite athlete is just improving
Yeah.
every single year. So I think there is an element of this is, I do think to a certain degree, this is a freak year because there have been some
There are absolutely
ridiculously fast
there are
people. Yeah.
some wheels this year specifically, but I think you're right, Sam. I think this is just technology's better, the players are recovering better, the shoes they're wearing, all the little bits and pieces are just starting to eke it. They're wearing these skin tight rubber sort of wetsuit type things which reduce drag, all that sort of stuff is eventually leading to everything just getting faster. But yeah, this year has been a year where there are some proper speedsters as well.
I mean,
At every
you
position.
mentioned, yeah, I mean, you mentioned Sonny Styles, who obviously had a great combine. His brother was, I think, the fastest in the whole combine, wasn't he? At
BB or
DT?
Yeah.
something, isn't it? Yeah, he's an
Yeah,
apps. He's got wheels.
Lorenzo.
Yeah, so yeah.
Yeah, I said, I was interested to know the question again, like, or what everyone's perspective was based on, like, are we just on a good class? Is this going to be we're just going to keep getting faster and faster and faster? Um, as we wrap this up, there is one thing I wanna kind of end the combine talk on. Now, every year, what I find is someone really captures the combine, in the heart of the combine, and becomes a almost star of the combine. I want us to go back to Sam Hartman doing his 40-yard dash in his like dark-haired Prince Charming from Shrek, flowing in the wind hair, and all that sort of stuff that really captures the heart of the world. This year is no different. If you are on YouTube, you can avert your eyes to the screen. If not, um, well, I'm just going to recommend that you go and check out the name. I'll just give content only. Jennings Dunker,
Oh, what?
Iowa, offensive lineman. It's never this person. Well, I just absolutely no complaint. I've got no ill will against his athletic ability, but the whole reason this young man has gone and captured the hearts of America, or captured the hearts of the world, is for the ginger mullet.
Yep.
It's very
Which
Australian, isn't it?
It
it is.
looks very
Very
outback
Australian.
Australian. Yeah. He looks like if he doesn't get drafted by the Green Bay Packers, they've missed a trick.
Foster's salesman,
Yeah.
or in
He's
Foster's adverts.
or in Foster's. I can see the pub from here.
It
Absolutely.
Good call.
it reminds me of that guy. Who was it that was a couple of years ago? No, it must have been last year. Who I think he went to the Chiefs. He was again a ginger, long-haired guy, but he had his no two front teeth.
Oh,
Remember
yeah.
him? He was another one that encapsulated the draft because he was funny in.
But I just want to share this one for the mullet, as you can see here, is glorious, right? Complete with the tash, glorious. but
It's got
in
the whole thing
motion,
going on. Oh,
lads, in motion.
wow. Poetry. Absolute poetry, isn't it?
Sam,
The guy I'm thinking of is Cody Morch.
Sam,
Yes.
do you see that and think the Stranger Things spin-off that's set in the 80s, if this
That,
doesn't work out for him, a career in 80s acting is on the cards?
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, he is Dustin from another life, isn't he?
I can
If
see it.
If Dustin got cool.
I can see it. I'm thinking more like you go back, you got the 80s high school, he's clearly built, he's clearly like he's built like a football player, right? That is a football player. You're thinking 80s, one of the jocks, bit of a bully. He seems lovely, by the way. I'm not painting him as a bully, but he could make it as acting as a bully because I think he'd do very well at acting like it. Um, I do think I think a series of acting or modelling of some sorts would be on the cards for him.
If Head and Shoulders haven't tapped him up for some sponsorships, then they're missing a
Yeah.
trick.
Somebody somewhere has to
That's
be
what
signing that.
that's what we
Salon
need.
Selective, something like that, right?
We need Geddings Dunker, Davina McCall together in one room, the fringe and the mullet. Do you know what? That is a great series. That is a great like advertisement series. The fringe and the mullet, Head and Shoulders. I'm trademarking it now. If you want it, come and get it. I
Hmm.
want the cash. That's copyrighted, trademark. The fringe and the mullet. So
It sounds like
I'm willing to
it
do
sounds
deals
like a
like that.
not gonna lie, it sounds like a really bad children's book. Fringe and the Mullet.
The fringe and the mullet. A
It
really
does a
bad sort
bit,
of double act, doesn't it? Yeah.
or a weirdly good like teenage fiction novel.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Like,
Or like something that Roger and Steve would come up with in an American Dad. Yeah, it's
Or just
that's
remove
fair.
the those and remove the those from each of the front of them and just call them Fringe and Mullet, and it could easily be an 80s cop show.
oh yeah,
Fringe and Mullet.
Right. So we've got
jumping
Head and
over
Shoulders.
cars.
Head
Yeah,
and Shoulders. I'm saying all of this is now being clipped. All this is being saved. This is going out public. Netflix. Um, Head and Shoulder. Do you know if you want to use this idea, you can do if you pay us, right? This we've got ideas of we've got these ideas for days. I know that Sam and Gary can rattle these off for days. I can do it too. Come and talk to us, man. We're down. We're big picture people.
we're
We
seeing a
come up
bigger
with these
picture here.
ideas.
We're,
Hmm.
we're,
Um,
we're getting in early before the rush.
Believe it or not, I have in a notebook over there because like about a year or so ago, I got really bored and wanted to do something a bit different. I've got 3, 4 pages of just ideas for TV shows or movies that I'm going to produce that one day will get produced. With that being said, that is the end of our combine episode. Sam, Garrett, I really, as always, appreciate your attendance and your entertaining this episode. If you are listening prior to Sunday the 8th, it is the 8th, innit? Yeah,
Yes.
Sunday the 8th of
Mark.
March. Yeah. Do you remember the Herd of the Line episode where I completely bollocked that up like a year ago?
No.
No, my brain
You
doesn't
know,
go that
right, okay, all
far.
right, I'm gonna say, do you remember the clip? It is Sunday the Shitterbrick. Um, he remembers. There we go. I see it. He remembers now. So yeah, if it's prior to Sunday the 8th of March, then I would recommend you tune back in on Sunday the 8th of March as we have a special guest and a bonus episode coming out this week because, well, do you know what we can do? It's our show. If you've got a problem with it, please tell us
Go.
because like
Please.
we want to do content that you enjoy. We don't want to do content that you don't enjoy, but if you do enjoy it, then you get an extra one this week. We have more guests coming up, but we do have a special guest on Sunday, the 8th of March. Um, all we can say is it's not Scott Hansen. Might be a little bit better.
Mm.
Dare I say, Scott Hansen is a king in my book, but you know,
To God.
might be a little bit better. Might be a little bit better.
It's definitely something to watch out for.
He's
Definitely
up
something to
there.
watch out for.
Look,
He's getting there.
um, he's up there. So yeah, we do have we have that episode coming out on Sunday. Follow AAW_CFB to find out more information closer to the time. And AAW, we are on, last I checked, it was 96 subscribers on YouTube. We have two more podcasts in the works,
Come
including one that's
on.
going to be rebooted for by the time the regular season starts. So three extra AAW podcasts will be heading to you within the next few months. If we can get to 100, we will announce one of them. Follow AAW_network, AAW_NFL, and there is plenty more action coming your way. If you are still with us, also please head into, if you want to get involved with the AAW network, everything we're doing, and you are from the UK and you love football, come and join us. Come and talk to us. We would love to have you. Send us a DM. Hit the links in the description of this episode. Without further ado, though, I'm going to say the Great Britain and San Diego Padres game ended 2-2. So,
Still
we
not a
let
loss. That's one win one, loss, draw one. We'll take it.
we let him off. We let him off. Went easy on him. You got to do what you got to do.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
Well, come and join us
Right.
on Sunday. Come join us next Wednesday, and come follow us on social media.